Hi, I'm Charlotte. I graduated class of 2020 and I study international business at the Hochschule Reutlingen at the ESB, so at the business school. And I'm currently in my fifth semester doing my internship abroad in Sydney. I chose to study international business because I enjoyed business because I took IB business and I wanted to continue that further. And I still wanted to keep like the international aspect instead of choosing to do like BWL in Germany, Betriebswirtschaftslehre. So then I was looking for international courses in Germany or more international focused business courses in Germany. And I stumbled upon the Hochschule Reutlingen, the ESB at the Hochschule Reutlingen, and slowly learned over time that actually it was a well-accredited school. It's one of the top, I should say it's the top business school in Germany, particularly like the ESB part. And so we work with a lot of partner companies. So you're kind of, yeah, I shouldn't say guaranteed a place, but like the chances of you actually getting an internship in Germany or even abroad in like some of these big companies is quite a good chance. And if a German company sees that you went to the ESB Reutlingen, yeah, it's kind of a good thing to have. And other than that, over time, I'd found that more people who I knew personally had gone to the school and raved about it. So I was like, oh, well, obviously I should go there. I had some other ones in mind, but that one was just because of the accreditation. It kind of went out, like stood out to me. Also, the fact that the whole course is in English. So if you study international business, your whole course is in English. So it's 100% English instead of like 50-50, which I know a lot more German courses do. So the fact that it was all in English and had the international aspect behind it. Oh, what else? At the ESB, there's about three different international business courses you can take. One's called International Business. You can take an international management degree, and then there's one other. And basically, in all of them, you have to do an exchange. It's compulsory to do an exchange year or an exchange semester to like continue that international business idea. And not only do you have to take an exchange, you also have to do a 20 weeks, so 5 months internship. So you have to do an internship. So I'm currently doing mine. The ESB, especially the international business course, it is a public university. So you do need to get an Anerkennung for your IB, but that's not hard. You just send it to the Kultusminister in Wiesbaden, and you usually get it back within a week. And I applied with my IB when I first got my IB before I had it changed, and then afterwards I got the Anerkennung, and they still took me in. But it's important if you're German and you want to go to have the Anerkennung, because you'll be applying as a German. International students, it might be a bit different. You might only then need to apply with your IB. I don't know. If you didn't do English, you have to prove your English at a specific point. Including there is an interview intake. So the application process is you apply all your documents through the portal of the school. And then if you pass the first screening, then they'll send you an admissions test. Then you take the admissions test. And if you pass that, they then take you in for an interview because they believe that students are more than just their grades, and they want to know what you're like as a person because they're quite people focused and want you to fit in, because they only take in 70 students, like 70 German students per semester and 70 international students per semester. So not only are you going abroad for your exchange year, you also are constantly around exchange students and international students. And for your internship, you can choose to do it within Germany or abroad, but you have to organize it yourself if you go abroad, and in Germany, but it's harder to organize if you go abroad. So there, although it is public, they only take 70 German students each semester, but you can apply every semester. So there's like 2 intakes per year, one in October and then one in March. So then you just end up graduating with many different people. There's no real like you start with your one class, but some people go off and work for a year, or some people will take an extra semester, and you kind of end up mixing all together anyway. So you get to know kind of everyone around your year, and the alumni have a very strong connection back to the university. And oftentimes the recruiters from like the big companies are old like ESB students, and so they come back to recruit new students to go do their internships or for jobs or for whatever they really need. Yeah, so because I applied during Corona, I didn't have to do the interview, um, because they usually do the interviews in person, and they didn't have it ready to do online. So I didn't do an interview, but I do know it's what they do send you is you often get a text sent to you before, and you kind of, I shouldn't say answer questions, but you kind of analyze this text, and it often has to do something to do with like the Wirtschaft and something. So they kind of analyze that, and I will ask you some questions about it. They'll ask you about who you are, but it's kind of like that. The admissions test is just general knowledge, so it's basic maths, basic English, and basic common sense, I want to say. I don't remember exactly, but it's basically basic English, basic maths, just so they can see where you're at maths wise, because maths is kind of an important focus in German schools. So yeah, I guess keep in mind saying that the maths, like, don't think that the maths will be easy because you're studying business, international business. The way that German, or I should say my course particularly, is structured, or most German, it's quite maths heavy, and as long as you do, I don't know what the equivalent of like my standard level maths is these days, but when I did standard level maths, like that would be the equivalent of what you have to do basics, because you end up doing like double derivatives and triple derivatives in the maths. So just keep that in mind. The professors are really good about it and go through it step by step and kind of reteach you. So it's not that much of a worry, but it is like just something you should keep in mind, and make sure you're not underestimating where you are. Yeah. So saying that, the courses, or the lectures, I should say, are generally very German. They're set up very German. And that's quite the opposite with MSF. Like, you kind of have to get used to the fact that it's professor in the front and you just write everything down. Like, there is connection between professor and student, and the professors try to make it as live as possible. But it's not like MSF where it's like, well, there's a lot of one-on-one. Like that doesn't really happen. So, and the lectures are quite long. Like one lecture is 90 minutes. So it's not like in the UK, for example, where lectures can be like 45 minutes and you can have multiple. You can have multiple 90-minute lectures in one day. But then again, on the other hand, you also don't have lectures every day. So you have a max of 5 subjects each semester. And in those semesters, you have a set amount of hours you have to complete. And so you could end up with, I don't know, you could end up with a whole day of lectures on a Wednesday and no lectures on a Thursday at all. So that's always good. Speaking of subjects, you have to take a foreign language for the first 3 semesters. So you have to do extra foreign language and you choose between French, Spanish, or Mandarin. And if you choose to do Mandarin, you basically get put in beginner Mandarin. French and Spanish, there is a language test which you take at the beginning of your course, and then they'll put you into the right Spanish level, and then you continue doing Spanish on a business level, basically, or French. And you have to do that for your 3 semesters for it to count towards your ECTS, towards like the credits at the end. Yeah, so I guess Reutlingen, it's quite small. It's just south of Stuttgart, so it's about half an hour by train outside of Stuttgart. It's a very cute place. Accommodation is not something you don't really have to worry about. There's about 5 buildings dedicated to student accommodation, like on campus, because of the amount of international students we have. They kind of have to put them somewhere. So there's lots of I shouldn't say American, lots of international students living in these buildings. And so you just apply to the specific building people, which you can find through the website, and they often give you a room, and then you get your own room, but you share bathroom and kitchen, or you can go and move into a Vigi. You share a house or share a flat. But yeah, so it's accommodation is not too much of a worry. And it doesn't make a difference if you're a first semester or a 7th semester. You get in where you can get in. And so there's no real priority set on first semesters. I will say you don't particularly have to have studied business before you go to the ESB. I'd say definitely helps, but I don't think you have to, because a lot of them go with they teach with the idea that you don't know, and basically from zero, or have very little knowledge in business, which if you did study business is great, because then these concepts are a repetition. But at least for your first 2 semesters, it's pretty, you get on if you did business before. Yeah. Also know that you'll study economics, I guess, in the international business course. You do a variety of subjects, actually. So you do a maths, you do law, you do coding, like computer science, economics, HR, marketing, all the accounting. What else do you do? Project management. So yeah, you end up looking basically their philosophy or the philosophy of the ESB is that the people who study there will be the next managers or CEOs of a company, not so much the workers who work 9 to 5. Like you'll be the next big people, and you need to understand all parts to communicate well and really understand the business as a whole instead of just like honing in your one part and fully understanding that. It's so you can bridge across it all and manage all these people. But you kind of hear that a lot, and you hear truly international a lot. They preach that they're truly international. So in the same sense, MSF talks about being international, and the IB learner profiles and all of those really make it a lot easier to adapt to that whole international, truly international culture that exists at the ESB. Yeah, you'll find it easy adapting because you did IB and you went to MSF like that. A very easy thing to like correlate if you're moving away, like that feels familiar, but it does also feel like it's a constant repetition of the same things, which is important, but I get that it can be a lot sometimes. But not only that, what is cool, and because we have all of these partner companies and very well known in the German business field, is that every semester we have a career fair or a job messe, and it's like over 50 German companies come every semester, and they come and they talk to you, and you can have one-on-one interviews with the recruiters. And so some companies that come are like Daimler come, Bosch comes, Coca-Cola, EU comes, Company, who else? Deloitte, EY, all of these big firms where they come and they always look forward to coming to the ESB and having these career fairs, which are compulsory to attend. It's always fun. You can, if you want to, help organize these career fairs, like outside of your studies, and you get a certificate for helping, which always looks good on your CV. So there's lots of opportunities outside of your studies to kind of get involved in the school and involved in stuff outside of your studies. So we have like a sports team, we compete at the Champions Cup, which is like a sports day but on steroids for uni students across Europe. And I'll just say a lot of kids don't fully remember what happened when they go to Champions Cup unless they won, you know. But yeah, we have that. We have sports facilities on campus. We have our startup hubs on campus. We have all the other institutes. So the ESB Reutlingen is the biggest faculty on campus, but you've also got the IT, like the informatic department, the chemie department, and the Textilabteilung. And so you've got like 4 different schools on one campus, all under Hochschule Reutlingen, but technically they're all different schools. So you'll have lots of events to attend, I guess. Lots of parties, lots of barbecues, lots of fundraising. It's always something going on, which is nice. So, and Reutlingen is quite small. So Reutlingen is near Tübingen. You know where Tübingen is? So then you've got the Reutlingen students and the Tübingen students, and then all the kids from Stuttgart. It's kind of just this like university bubble, I guess you could say, just in that area, and everyone kind of goes everywhere. And yeah, I didn't know that until I'd moved there. So I guess they all know. And yeah, I'll be honest, when I graduated in May of 2020, I had no idea what I wanted to study. Yeah, I didn't know. And yeah, so I wish I had more advice to like tell people not to worry, because that like even if once they've graduated and they don't know what to do, that there's still things you can do and you can figure it out as you go, and you don't need to know what you want to do. But yeah, so even once I'd graduated and I had the piece of paper, even my IB results, I still didn't know. So I guess saying that is applications for German unis don't start until August, or I should say July. So way after you get your IB results. So if you end up applying to UCAS or anywhere else where the deadline's before, you can always fall back onto a German university, and which is a nice safety to have. But yeah, so so I have no advice if you have no idea what you want to study, because I didn't. Um, yeah, I would. It's a difficult thing to choose because there's so much you can do. Um, I guess because international business is so broad, it gave me that variance, which I liked in IB, and the lots of different subjects which I have to do, even if some of them I don't like you kind of have to do them, but at least it's different than like there's always something new to learn. So especially when it comes down to a lot of the more psychological parts of the business, which isn't always in high school businesses. So a lot of the HR and intercultural management, they go quite heavily into those, and you really end up learning the psychosis or the psychology behind how HR works and how interrelations work and negotiation. So we had a whole block seminar week. Like, so once you're in each semester, you'll have a block seminar week, which is basically a really intense 1 week of studies of one subject. And so it's like one of the 5 subjects you do, but you just do it all in 1 week. That makes any sense, but that's what you do. And usually it's like an intercultural management where you learn about different cultures and how they should interact or how to negotiate. So we did a negotiation one most recently, and it was interesting because you kind of going through high school, you learn about not negotiating, but talking and arguing and trying to get your point across and actually understanding like negotiations and how to actually get your side to win versus the other side. So that was a specific thing I enjoyed, I guess you could say. What I'm doing currently, so I'm currently on my Pflichtpraktikum, and I decided to do it abroad in Sydney. And I work at WavePay, which is a payment solutions company, and we facilitate the gift card programs of some of the biggest shopping centers in Australia. So what I do there is I do a lot. so the company's quite small. There's only 12 of us, including me. So I don't, I have a fixed title. I'm officially, yeah, the intern, but I end up doing a lot of work that's outside of like the traditional intern that you call an intern. So I had a lot of like the marketing, social media marketing, and so that's fun. I do some accounts, I do some customer service, but yeah, I personally decided to do it abroad or in Sydney, but you don't have to. But it does have to be for a minimum of 20 weeks, 5 months. Yeah.